The sound of water rushing down the Brandywine Creek near the site of the Hagley Museum. Back in 1802, French immigrant E.I. DuPont founded the black powder mills in Wilmington on the banks of the Brandywine Creek after a purchase of 235 acres. He built a Georgian-style home and surrounding buildings and gardens to serve as a center for his family and his business life. And the home was inhabited with 5 generations of the DuPont family. The estate home was the first residence of the DuPonts in the United States. 120 years after he bought the property, the mills along the Brandywine closed and parcels of the property were sold. Plans for a museum were established, and 31 years later, 1957, it opened to the public as the Hagley Museum. Now, it has numerous exhibits. It's really a great visit. But what I want to focus on today is the motorcycles and the DuPont Motor Company, something very few people know about. The DuPonts made a fortune in gunpowder and other chemicals, but some of the descendants have other interests. E. Paul DuPont was in his early 30s. He was interested in transportation, and in the early part of the 20th century, he helped develop DuPont Motors. In 1930, he decided he was going to shift into the world of motorcycles. DuPont Motors had developed about 600 automobiles. In fact, one of the first electric cars, but he was interested in motorcycles, in particular, Indian motorcycles. The company was failing, and he wanted to resurrect it. He was a leader at Indian until his death in 1950, but his pride and joy was the Indian 841 motorcycle, which has been restored and is on site at Hagley. Back in 1941, he contracted with the U.S. Army to build the 841 to compete with the Germans. Ultimately, the motorcycle was replaced by the Jeep, but the Indian 841 serves as a classic. One of its major features, the brightly colored paint made possible by DuPont chemicals. If you visit Hagley, it's a great place to visit. Make a point to see the Indian 841. Thanks for listening to the Dr. Brian McDonough Show.